Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game you guys requested. World champion Magnus Carlsen faces the masked Avenger Ray Enigma. Now this is not the first time I'm covering a game by Ray. We've also covered his 2021 game against former world champion Anatoly Karpov. It was during the Spain's Got Talent show, and there it was a really wild game. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. Will be the first link in the description below. But it was a really wild game, and he managed to get a draw against the former world champion. But even nowadays in 2024, we still have no idea who Ray Enigma is, and he faced some very strong players. He faced Judith Polgar, he faced former world champion Garry Kasparov, and now he faces the final boss of chess. He faces Magnus Carlsen. He has the white pieces, and also I will include a video of the two of them playing from Ray Enigma's channel. As you can see, they're playing on a little wobbly set, and the pieces are going back and forth. It's very hard to watch and very stressful. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and also there's some very intense music, so you can also check it out. But here I will break down the game for you. So Ray, and also let me just fix that. Sorry, Ray's name floated a little bit down, but yeah, let's dive straight into it. And also, like I said, we have no idea who Enigma is. We do know he's from Spain, or maybe we don't. We just presume he's from Spain, and he could be some of the stronger Spanish grandmasters like David Anton Guijarro or maybe Paco Vallejo, but probably not. Some of the other stronger players were seen with him in the same room, so they're out of the question, but it is still unknown. And it's very cool that he's able to keep it a mystery for so long. I think that is just very cool. But yeah, let's check out the game. Ray has white, and he opens with pawn to d4. Magnus replies with knight to f6, knight to f3, and b6. We have pawn to e3, and Magnus goes for bishop to b7. So disregarding the king side, developing the queen side first. Bishop to d3, we have pawn to e6, the so-called Yusupov-Rubinstein system. We have knight b to d2, and pawn to d5 by Magnus. We have knight to e5. Ray grabs the e5 square, as one always should, and then after you attack the knight, f4 is coming. No doubt that you've seen this in your own games. Your opponent plays knight to e5, and then you just hate your position because you don't know how to play against this. Well, now Magnus will show us. Bishop to d6, we have pawn to f4, and now pawn to c5. We have queen to f3, and now knight to c6. There are a couple of games that reach this position. For example, queen to c7 is an on move, but Magnus plays knight to c6, and it is now as of move 8 that we have a completely new game. And yes, this is a blitz game. It's same as the format used in the match Vladimir Kramnik versus Jose Martinez Alcantara. 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. So not like the title Tuesday, an extra second increment. So let's check it out. Pawn to c3. Strengthening the center, knight to e7 by Magnus, and pawn to g4 now. And Magnus could strike with pawn to h5. It's not out of the question. Point being that after h5 and g5, you can capture on e5, remove one of the pieces guarding the g4 square, or even just go to e4. For example, if captures on e5, knight to e4, and your position is just very strong. The knight is a monster, because if you go for knight captures, pawn captures, you go bishop captures, and queen captures, then black will just castle, and it's a very nice position. The white king is very vulnerable there. Okay, after g4, queen to c7 by Magnus, and now bishop to b5 check. We have knight to c6, Magnus blocks with the knight, and pawn to g5. Okay, Magnus goes knight to d7, a lot of horsing around from the former world champion. Castles, and now pawn to a6, challenges the bishop on b5, bishop to d3, and now pawn to g6. And even though Magnus was much better on time throughout the entire game, very quickly the clocks evened out, and they were playing both on increment. We have queen to h3, Ray wants to get the queen to h6, and also maybe just put pressure on that e6 pawn. A lot of things are possible here. Magnus goes knight to e7, preparing to shift the knight over to f5, knight d to f3, and now knight to f5. And what's interesting about this position, well, amongst other things, that no pieces or pawns have yet been exchanged. So we have the full army still on the board. And it's move 16, and we have the first capture. Bishop captures on f5. Eliminating the knight, e captures, and now bishop to d2. Maybe not the strongest moves being played here, but they are very strong, and both of the players are very, very low on time. We have knight captures on e5, knight captures, and now Magnus castles queenside, as the queen is nicely guarding the f7 pawn, so you don't have to worry about that. And now Magnus will be looking into some h6, f6 action to break through the king side. We have pawn to b4. Of course, Ray wants to do the same on the queen side. Pawn to c4. Magnus closes the position. We have pawn to a4, pawn to h6, and now queen to g3. We have h captures on g5, queen captures on g5, and the rook d to f8, preparing pawn to f6 with the double attack. So the queen goes back, queen to g2, and now pawn to f6. And here, Ray sort of falls victim to the Magnus effect. Magnus is inviting knight captures on g6, which would put pressure on both of the rooks. However, the king and queen are on the same file, so I'm even going to use this as a thumbnail, perhaps. And knight captures on g6 is the way to go. But, yeah, everyone falls victim to the Magnus effect. Knight to f3 was played. Point being that after knight captures on g6, you will attack the knight, but you have time. Rook f3 and rook g7 prepares rook g8. There's rook g3, and your position is perfectly fine. If the rooks get doubled up here, king f2. Nothing is happening here. It's perfectly fine. But yeah, after f6, knight back to f3 was played, and now Magnus's position is completely winning, but he still has to play precisely, and he does. Pawn to g5. We have rook 8 to e1, and pawn to g4, attacking the knight. We have knight to e5, offering a piece to break through Magnus's defenses. Magnus accepts the piece, f captures, but now gives it back. Bishop captures on e5, as he wants to free up his light square bishop, so he would rather not be up a piece than have this bishop blocked for the rest of the game. D captures on e5, and now pawn to d4, breaking through the center and also reviving the our good friend the light square bishop. We have pawn to e4, and now queen captures on e5. You could also play bishop captures on e4, but it could be a little bit dangerous. Maybe Ray had in mind rook captures on e4, and then after f captures, rook captures on f8, rook captures, and then queen captures on e4, and it looks dangerous. There's the passed e pawn. Yes, queen b7 is winning, but queen b7 is the only move that's winning. So yeah, okay, I mean, chances are Magnus would find it, but still, it's not out of the question. But Magnus went for queen captures on e5 instead. We have bishop to f4, and now queen to e6. We have c captures on d4, and bishop captures on e4, removing the strong center. Queen to f2, and now king to b7. Magnus just gets his king to safety. We have bishop to g3, and queen to d5 now. Gaining control over this diagonal and blocking the d pawn. We have queen to f4, going after the c7 square, and now Magnus just plays queen captures on d4 check, rook to f2, and now rook to c8. Another beautiful move by Magnus, stopping queen to c7 and just preparing to advance the c pawn to victory. We have pawn to b5, pawn to c3. B captures on a6 with check, king captures, and pawn to a5 now. Yes, you've destroyed the defenses, but there are not enough attackers around the black king. We have pawn to b5 by Magnus, rook captures on e4, even giving up the exchange here, queen captures, and queen to d6 with check. So the queen does get one check, but it's a one check. Rook to c6 attacks the queen, and here I imagine, of course, Ray knew a long time ago that his position was lost, but he decided to give it One more try. Here he just went back, queen to e5. Magnus played queen captures, bishop captures on e5 was played, and he was in this position on move 43 that Enigma resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Of course, you're in a worse endgame against Magnus Carlsen. You could be spending your afternoon in a more pleasant way. But for those of you who are maybe interested how to quickly win this with black, well, we're just gonna advance the c pawn to victory. That's it. You play rook e8, go after the bishop. Once the bishop moves, you will play c2. White will have to control the c1 square, but it's not a problem. Rook d8 with rook to d1 next, and that's it. Simplest way to win. King to g2, rook to d1, and now you either capture and then another queen comes into the game, or you don't, then just c1, and then you will win this bishop. You will be up a rook. Many ways this can continue, but of course it is pointless, and Ray knows it. So yes, he had to face many strong champions and former champions before reaching the final boss. But now that he did, he felt what it was like to play against Magnus Carlsen. But now the two of them have been in the same room together, so obviously the Masked Avenger is not Magnus Carlsen himself, which we probably thought even before, as he, lost a couple of games. But yeah, now we definitely know for sure. So if you have an idea who Ray Enigma is, do not write it in the comments. Keep it a secret, as we wanna, let's make the secret last for as long as possible. I think that's the best we can do. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A valiant attempt by Ray, but yeah, Magnus is Magnus. And like I said, check out the video in the description below. It's the original video where the two of them are actually playing the wobbly chess pieces. I mean, it's just so weird looking at them. Yeah, but then again, I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Eric Lee, Timothy Larkin, Ding Power, William Cooper, and Ek McAllister for contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, such as this one, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.